I can tell there's lots of smile. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to yet another edition of what I still believe should be a streamed show on Netflix, called the New Hampshire Executive Council. The drama, the excitement of good government and public opportunity to participate. Just as a reminder to folks, we always like it when folks can take photos and all that, but if you can at least keep your phones silent, that would be great. We're still getting used to the new microphones. They all seem to work well, which is wonderful. Had a wonderful breakfast meeting at the Idea of Council of Warrington, which was great, over at the State Public Library. And just talking about the opportunities and all the amazing things that we have in the collections over there, and thank you for Commissioner Stewart for doing that. I'll kick it over to you, Councilor Warrington.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we approach Veterans Day, may we give thanks and recognition to all those who have served and are currently serving our country. We offer our gratitude for the sacrifices they and their families have made to defend our freedom around the world. May we always remember our duty to care for them as they have cared for us. Today, we have a musical presentation by Liz and Dan Fiella, who joined us today. And you're up.
Thank you, everybody. Liz and I grew up in New Hampshire and grew up going to New England concert dances and studying at the Concord Community Music School. We now both teach there. Liz runs the folk jazz and popular music departments at the school. We're going to play a set of tunes that we've grown up playing at concert dances. We're going to start it off with a tune called Belle Newcastle. Newcastle is here, and it was written by our good friend who recently passed away, David Surrett, who used to teach the music school here in Concord and was a New Hampshire native.
Liz and Dan,
And we have a show in Franklin next Saturday.
next Saturday, where about?
The library.
Okay, next Saturday at the library. This Saturday or next Saturday? 10 days. Got it. Okay, great. Will the council like to join us? We'll take a photo. That's okay.
Just so people know that Dan shared with me before the meeting here today that he actually performed in this chamber as a child. So we're
You're great. You guys get in the middle.
It's critical because it's hard.
Great. Really great. Okay. So that was a wonderful way to get our morning kicked off, to be sure. We have one commendation today for a pretty incredible individual. And as I talk about a lot, we have great organizations and incredible individuals that do all this amazing stuff. Counselor, you want to?
No.
Oh, okay, great. No, please. So this young lady has done just what I think is just amazing. I know very little about swimming. I'm a a great swimmer. But Margaret Clark is here, and she's, Margaret, come on up. She has done the triple, I hope I said this right, the Triple Crown of Open Water Swimming, which is just absolutely unbelievable. How are you? Great to see you. Great to see you. Margaret, can you tell us what is or tell everybody what is the Triple Crown of Open Water Swimming?
Well, the Triple Crown of Open Water Swimming is 3 different swims. There's the English Channel, which is the one that I completed most recently in September. And then there's 2 other ones. There's one called 20 Bridges, where you swim around Manhattan Island in New York. And then there's another one called the Catalina Channel, where you swim from Catalina Island to mainland LA, over in California.
And when did you do the English Channel?
I did it September 6th.
This past, just a month ago, right? That was the third and final one.
Yeah.
And now, there's like an age limit on that?
You're up to 16.
Yeah, you just turned 16, and so you're able to do it. And how long did you do this in the English Channel?
13 hours, 37 minutes.
13 and a half hours. And so, okay, so.
You can't sing that long.
What's that?
He can't sing that long.
I can sing, I can just keep going down and down. So, where do you start? When do you do that? You start in...
I started in Dover, England at Shakespeare Beach.
At a beach?
Yeah.
And you just go off the beach and next thing you know, you're in France.
Yeah, yep.
This is absolutely amazing. And you literally just turned 16.
In May, I did that.
Okay, so here's the problem. What do you do now? Like, what is next? You're hit 16, I imagine you have to be, you have to be one of the youngest people who have ever done this.
I'm the youngest in the world.
The youngest in the world!
And I understand you can take 3 years to do it.
Yeah,
You only took a year.
no, I took 3 years to do it overall, because you have to plan 2 years ahead for the English Channel. And then the other 2 I just spread out because it happened that way.
Some people take
Yeah.
there's no.
I'm very lucky I got to do it so quickly, actually.
And the Catalina swim, are you swimming from Los Angeles? It's like 20 miles, isn't it?
So it's from the Catalina Island to mainland LA.
To mainland LA.
Yeah.
I don't know, you're like the only person who's trying to get this Los Angeles. Well, that is absolutely correct. Do you have like a next, what is the next thing? Is there another thing on the list? You don't seem like the type of person that checks a box and goes home and is satisfied. Like, what's
I have more swims on my mind.
Yeah.
I'm hoping my next thing is going to be like the Triple Crown of Monster Swims.
Oh.
I've done 1 of the 3. It's lakefront from Agog. There's a monster called Memphis that I did, and then
How long is that?
25 miles.
What does monster mean? Like, what does that mean?
Like Loch Ness, kind of.
Oh.
Like one of those kind of monsters.
Oh, like a real monster.
Yeah.
Monster square.
Yeah. So that's one of the ones I have on my list is do Loch Ness, and then also swim Lake Tahoe.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, I have no doubt you'll knock him down. That's absolutely awesome. So, a commendation recognizing Margaret Clark. Whereas Margaret is the youngest swimmer to complete the Triple Crown of Open Water Swimming according to the Channel Swimming Association, where she swam freestyle across the English Channel, covering 20 and a half miles in 66-degree water, and finished in 13 hours and 37 minutes. And whereas in finishing the English Channel swim, Brevard joined the prestigious Triple Crown Club of Open Water Swimming, traversing 3 historically important swims, including the Manhattan Island Marathon of over 48 kilometers, the Catalina Channel over 32 kilometers, and the English Channel at 33 kilometers. And where she completed the Catalina swim in 2021 and the Manhattan Island Marathon last summer in 2022, before taking on the English Channel this past summer. And whereas Margaret is already an accomplished open water swimmer and was inducted into the Vermont Open Water Swimming Hall of Fame in his class of 2022, and whereas Margaret is among fewer than 300 people in the country to accomplish the Triple Crown of Swimming, a massive feat for any swimmer. Whereas Brevard also competes in the Concord YMCA swim team. It lives in Springfield, New Hampshire, and is a junior at Kearsarge Regional High School in North Sutton. Now, therefore, I, Christopher T. Sununu, Governor of the State of New Hampshire, do hereby commend Margaret Brevard for this outstanding achievement and wish her all the best as she represents the Granite State in future challenges and competitions. Oh, that'd be great. You're a teacher? Oh, yeah.
Have to change my card.
Okay, great. Junior.
Commissioners are over there.
Nice to meet you. All right. Okay, moving forward, I will call this Governor and Executive Council meeting officially to order. Let's begin by asking for a motion to approve the meeting minutes from October 18, 2023. Any discussion or changes to those meeting minutes? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of accepting the meeting minutes, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? With that, the meeting minutes are approved. Next, from the Office of the Secretary of State, we have our civil commissions. Could I please have a motion to confirm the list of civil commissions? We have a motion and a second. Are there any additional names or changes to the list, Council Ken?
Governor, I'd like to add the name Heidi Bay, SBFA, of Summersworth as a notary.
Thank you very much. Any additional names to place on the list of civil commissions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the list of adopting the list of civil commissions as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, the list of civil commissions is approved. We have a couple resignations to accept today. From the Adult Parole Board, could I get a motion to accept the resignation of William Francis of Wilton?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The resignation is accepted. As a Justice of the New Hampshire Circuit Court, could I have a motion to accept the resignation of Margaret Ann Moran of Manchester?
So moved.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Justice Moran's resignation is accepted. That concludes resignation. We have a few confirmations to move forward with today. I'll begin by asking for a motion to confirm Richard Roy of Concord to the Board of Foresters.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Roy is confirmed. Could I have a motion to confirm Kristen Grasso of Wyndham to the Board of Mental Health Practice?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Kristen is confirmed. Could I have a motion to confirm Nikki DeLuke Roy of Northwood to the Board of Professional Geologists?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Ms. Roy is confirmed. Could I have a motion to confirm Selby Latman Lee to the Board of Veterinary Medicine?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Selby is confirmed. Could I have a motion to confirm Arthur Dolan of Pembroke to the Boxing and Wrestling Commission?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? How many times has Art been nominated now? A lot. He's been there a while. He's doing great. Okay. All in favor of Arthur, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Art is confirmed. Could I have a motion to confirm Melissa White of Hopkinton as the Director of the Division of Learner Support for the Department of Education?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Sorry, I'm all over the place. I'm excited that Ms. Stewart just walked in. Any opposed? Okay, with that, Melissa White is confirmed. Ms. Drew, good morning.
Good morning,
How
Governor.
are you?
Good morning. We have the 4th grade from Nottingham.
From
this morning.
Nottingham. Terrific. I'm looking at my counselors.
Got Senator Councilor
I think
Gatsby.
it's Counselor Gatsby.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
You enjoying your day here at the State House?
Yes!
A lot?
Yeah.
What have you learned that's exciting?
How to vote. It's really all we learned today.
Voting?
Yeah.
What about the dome on the State House?
Not yet.
Not yet? We haven't talked about, it's what?
It's golden.
It's golden. Is it real gold?
No. No. Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
All right, it is. Enjoy the rest of your day. Everybody, you're having a good one.
Okay, Councilor. Girls, if you want to go that way, go on up to meet the governor. Go on up.
Have a great day, guys. Have a good day. Have a nice day.
How's everyone doing?
Have a great day.
Go on now.
You guys, thanks for visiting.
Guys, good.
Thanks for visiting.
Nice try.
Thanks for visiting.
Good.
Thanks for visiting. It's always a pleasure.
All right.
Hey guys, how are you? Thank everyone for coming. It's a pleasure. Nice to see everybody. How are you? Yes. All right. Okay. We'll continue by asking for a motion to confirm Mark Roy of Laconia as the Director of the Division of Marketing, Merchandising, and Warehousing for the State Liquor Commission. So, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? With that, Mark's confirmed. Could I have a motion to confirm Michael O'Connor of Swansea to the Juvenile Parole Board?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Michael's confirmed. Could I have a motion to confirm Don Crease of Concord as the Office of the Consumer Advocate, within the Office of the Consumer Advocate?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Don is confirmed. Could I have a motion to confirm Richard Lawton Jr. of Durham to the Penalty Appeal Board?
So moved.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Richard is confirmed. Could I have a motion to confirm Richard Mitchell of Dunbarton to the Penalty Appeal Board?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Mr. Mitchell is confirmed. Could I have a motion to confirm Constance Morneau of Wolfboro to the Penalty Appeal Board?
So moved.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Constance is confirmed. Could I have a motion to confirm Brooke Kenline Nyman of Ware to the River Management Advisory Committee?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Brooks confirmed. Could I have a motion to confirm Michelle Tremblay of Pennacook to the Rivers Management Advisory Committee?
So moved.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That Michelle is confirmed. Could I have a motion to confirm Ricardo St. Hilaire of Lebanon to the Rivers Management Advisory Committee?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Rich is confirmed. Could I have a motion to confirm Hollis Broderick of Portsmouth to the Rivers Management Advisory Committee?
So moved.
Oh, uh-oh.
Sorry, it's the State Historic Resources Council.
Oh.
Apologize for the
All
last two. For required.
Oh, boy. Okay,
I'm
let's,
sorry.
we're gonna back that one up. So I'm gonna go back and ask for a motion to confirm Ricardo St. Hilaire of Lebanon to the
State Historical Resources.
State Historical Resources Council.
So moved. Thank
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Rick St. Hilaire is confirmed. Could I have a motion to confirm Hollis Broderick Portsmouth to the State Historical Resources Council?
So moved.
Any discussion? Hearing none, signify by saying, sorry. There's a motion for a second. Any discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Hollis is confirmed. I do have a list of a few nominations to read into the record this morning. To the Adult Parole Board, I nominate Tricia Thompson of Salisbury. As an Associate Justice of the New Hampshire Supreme Court, I nominate Melissa Countway as alternate. To the Board of Acupuncture and Licensing, I nominate Jody Bell of Manchester. To the Board of Architects, I nominate Sonia Masachek of Laconia. To the Board of Medicine, I nominate Linda Tatarchik of Durham. To the Board of Licensure of Interpreters for the Deaf, Deafblind, and Hard of Hearing, I nominate Amber Epison of Manchester and Patricia Stewart of Chester. To the Board of Nursing, I nominate Hugh Fowler of Hampstead and Heather Pearl of Loudon. To the Business Finance Authority Board of Directors, I nominate Dick Anagnost of Bedford. To the Community College System of New Hampshire Board of Trustees, I nominate Nicholas Curl of Londonderry. As the Commissioner for the Department of Transportation, I nominate William Cass of Laconia. As the Deputy Director for the Division of Administration within the Department of Safety, I nominate Melanie Carriger of Boston. As a Justice of the New Hampshire Superior Court, I nominate James Kennedy of Concord. To the Manufactured Housing Installation Standards Board, I nominate Eric Kaufman of Sudbury, Massachusetts. And with that concludes the nominations for today. So moving on, we're going to move to our consent calendar agenda. Could I begin by asking for a motion to adopt the consent calendar?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or request for items to be removed for further discussion? Councilor Wheeler.
5G, please.
Item 5G. Any other items for discussion? Okay, all in favor of the consent calendar agenda, with the exception of item 5G, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, the consent calendar agenda is approved. Could I get a motion to adopt agenda item 5G from the consent calendar? Motion second discussion. Councilor Wheeler.
Just a quick note on this, there's a typo in the interior of the explanation here that says that the Fitch Farm agreement has not been executed yet, and we did that a few meetings ago.
Oh,
I just
okay.
wanted to point out that it's written wrong and not up to date.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay. Can we discuss that in a minute? Okay, so noting that, any other questions on that item? Okay, noting that, all in favor of accepting that item with the noted changes, which will be noted in a minute, updating the agreement that was previously approved. All in favor of item 5G, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? With that, item 5G is now approved. That concludes the consent calendar. We have our regular agenda. To kick off this morning on our regular agenda, we have an item from the Business Finance Authority. This item from the Business and Finance Authority will be available and open as part of a public hearing. So after the BFA, I'll ask the folks from the BFA to come on up. Cheers. Oh, hello, Mr. Kewalls, how are you? Why don't you come on up, and after the BFA representative speak, we'll have a discussion from the council, take any questions from the council. At that time, I will open it up for public comment. I'll open up the public meeting portion of the BFA item as is required by law. And at that time, if anyone wishes to speak specifically to the item, pertinent to the item, we'll try to keep it there. We'll open that up. So with that, I'm going to first begin by asking for a motion to adopt agenda item 6 from the Business Finance Authority. motion and a second. Good morning.
Good morning, Governor.
Before we kick things off, can you just give us kind of a summary of this item, and then I'll open it up to the council for questions.
Yes, I'd be happy to. So for the record, James Key Wallace, Executive Director of the Business Finance Authority, joined today by...
Good morning, I'm Bobby Cox with Sig Sauer, Vice President of Government Affairs.
Thanks. So the project today is a similar structure to the real estate development projects that we've presented to the council in the past. So how these work, and I'll just briefly talk about the particulars of this one, is when approached with a major economic development project, the BFA has a program where we can go finance with state-backed bonds a facility that's been built and then rented to a business that's growing and making jobs. Through that lease, they agree to pay the cost of all the financing and then purchase the building and pay off all the financing at the end of the lease. This is just, the council knows and everyone knows, this is private capital going to a private business that we're backing. It's not a taxpayer subsidy or a taxpayer loan or using taxpayer money, private money to private business. And this particular project is a $33.1 million expansion of an existing facility in Rochester, New Hampshire, to support Sig Sauer's production of firearms for the U.S. military. I'm sure Bobby can talk about the particulars if there are questions, but in short, Sig Sauer won a contract to support our men and women and allies overseas with new weaponry that's required for our safety as a nation, and that's going to be built here in Rochester. 100% of that facility is for production of these military-only firearms. It's going to add 250 new jobs on top of the 300 that were created in the last time we brought this same Rochester facility to the council. Just a couple items of note. In case there are questions you may call, we approved an initial project of $21 million 3 years ago to get this whole thing started. That's approved. That's now paid down to $12 million. So, we're actually about halfway through that project, even though at the time it was a 10-year horizon. So they're ahead of schedule, which I think is great. And with that, I'm happy to take questions.
Great. Questions from the council? Sorry, Councilor Wheeler.
Governor, I just want to put on the record that I'll be voting no because I don't believe that I have the constitutional authority to put the taxpayers on the hook with this guarantee for this loan. I also want to put it on the record that Sig Sauer is a great company. I'm not voting no because of what they make. I certainly would love to say yes because of what they make. And they've been a great company on the loans that they do have, and they're ahead of schedule paying them back. It's just because I don't think I have the authority to put the taxpayers on the hook to guarantee this loan.
Thank you. Understood. Further discussion, Councilor Warmington?
Just to be clear that this company is in complete compliance with all of its prior agreements with the BFA.
Yes, Councilor, that's correct.
And this expansion is necessary in order for you to meet your obligations under your contract with the U.S. military.
Yes, Councilor.
And one more, do we have the parent company under the guarantee as well as the local grant?
Yes, Councilor. So the actual tenant, if you want to call them that, is Sig Sauer Real Estate Inc., which is the local company for all their real estate. The payments are further guaranteed by Sig Sauer Incorporated. So, belts and suspenders to make sure they're on.
Sure. Thank you.
Further discussion from anyone on the council? Councilor Stephen?
This is supporting military readiness, correct?
Absolutely.
98% of the weapons are geared towards the United States Army.
My understanding is 100% of the weapons produced in this facility are for our armed forces, yes.
And the goal is within a year, it's a year out with development, but this will be going to the 101st at Fort Campbell, correct?
Yes, our first shipment will be to the 101st Airborne Division in Fort Campbell by the end of the year, and so that'll be the first go.
So on a national security level, our adversaries are they have an advantage right now, long-range capability and body armor, correct?
That is correct. That's why this program is created.
As the mother of a Marine, I wish that he would have the ability to access this, as he's an infantry leader. But you're a great company. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Councilor Kenny.
Thank you, Governor. I just want to thank 6 Hour for coming to Rochester because it really helped out that community and surrounding communities with high-paying jobs for the manufacturing of firearms products that we make. And you're going to expand, which is only going to create more job growth and add value to the city of Rochester and surrounding communities. What you do, in my estimation, is you protect our freedom. So 6 hours means free. So I want to thank you for coming to the state of New Hampshire and being headquartered here. So thank you again.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other discussion from the council at this time? Okay, at this time I'm going to, this is an item from the BFA and open to a public hearing. I'm going to ask anybody from the public who wishes to come forward and speak specifically to this item is open to do so. Anyone? Anyone?
I'm coming forward.
Anyone? I know. You're always first. I just want to make sure we're giving you a chance.
Yeah, I'd like somebody else to go first.
No, no, I think it's you, my friend. I think it's you. Okay, so Joe, feel free to come forward if there's comments are specific to this item.
Yes, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
That was an interesting display you had across the street there with that gold ring.
Yeah, just to be clear, not my gold ring, the state's gold ring. Franklin Pierce's gold ring. Pretty
Yes,
impressive.
with
Yeah.
all the different types of gold from California that was given to Franklin Pierce. I understand.
We have quite a collection. Okay.
And in that regard, I do have something I'd like to show you. This would be a show and tell today.
Okay, as long as it's pertinent to the item, but okay.
Yes.
Okay.
May I go to the podium if you got a podium?
Sure, yeah, you can come up to the microphone if
You
you
don't
like.
have a podium. May I use your side of the desk?
Sure.
This is a silver dollar that was just minted this year. Well, that's the, that's not the silver, not the other.
Okay, wow, beautiful.
And I'd like for you to show that around to your councilors to prove that there are silver dollars being minted. See that?
Silver dollars.
T-Fox, huh? Yes, the relevance is, like I sent you in the email the other day, yesterday, I think it was. Tuesday, November 7th at 3:21 p.m. I sent it to my executive counselor, Joe Kenny, and I asked him to share it with the rest of the other four, but I don't know if the other four got it or not, but I'll send you the copies later. And here's the bottom line. I agree with what I said last time on the Rustic Press Pizza. I'm still arguing that, just in one sentence summary, that Article 83 of the New Hampshire Constitution guarantees that the state help out people in their trades, and that my trade, I told you, was being a bounty hunter, looking for missing heirs of land and minerals, on a percentage deal, being charged with charity. And I think eventually you should be, well, I'll talk to that this afternoon at 1:45 p.m. on the planning board. I'll just give you a heads up, you can do some homework if you want. But anyways, on this, I did ask James a few minutes ago on the company, what is their policy on if somebody's called for jury duty? And the reason I ask that is because I see Charlie Allenhouse. No, he's not.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, in the past, he's given me the admin rule, personnel rule. That if some state employee is called for jury duty, they shall surrender. In other words, they shall get paid. The statute says, RSA 500-8:15, that they shall get paid $10 per half day, like from 8 to 12. 4 hours, maybe 1 to 5 in the afternoon, that's another one. $20 a day, maybe. But the point is, that's been on the books since 1956. That's when we had, the 50-cent pieces were Ben Franklin and Liberty.
Yep.
And now we have silver dollars. You know, So somebody being called for jury duty, they should get paid in the contracted type of coin that was the 1950 cents, so dollars. And there's been no cost of living increase, just like the state reps and state senators. They've had no cost of living increase since 1889, $200 a 2-year term. They did work only one other year. I mean, every other year they work. In fact, now they work every year. So they're working more time for less money because they're being paid off in commercial coin. And New Hampshire only consented to the Coinage Act in 1792. In 1794, which is in chapter 28 of that chapter. Volume 6, page 155, to be exact. It's such a well stuff before, years ago. So my question that you should be asking the company person here is, what is your policy? Do you supplement the $10 add on to it, or do you not accept the $10 and not supplement, replace? Because that's what a lot of companies do. When I was called for jury duty in 2016, I asked everybody, a member of the union, and one guy said yes, and he said that that's what happens, is he tells the clerk not to send the check, but to his employer will pay.
So, okay, so just to be clear, I don't know if the company has I think the question is this, if there's a policy on jury duty.
I'll just thank you for the question. We would have to check into it. It's probably based upon salary versus hourly. If I can get back to you on that one, sir.
Sure. Yeah, because I like the company, and I like the certified person that's in all the paperwork, 132 pages, I only skimmed it over. And then there's a executive agent on Pleasant Street here. And then the other one is the bank, beginning with E, not Eastern Bank, it's the other one.
Enterprise Bank?
Enterprise Bank. I have a comment on that. I called the woman there, her name is, it's in the paperwork, Lisa, I think it is?
Lori.
Lori. You talked to her.
You talked to her.
Yes, I talked to her, and she's investigating. I said, before the executive council and the governor agreed to give you $3.1 million, would you please at least make a contact with Monica, the state treasurer, to get me my $30, $10 and $3. I'm still looking for my $30 from the state. You guys owe me money.
Well, I can ask the,
Well-
I'll ask the treasurer.
Lots of money.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. And thank you for the Philip Donner.
Oh, I see you have a new constitution now.
Well, it's the old Constitution, just reprinted, yes. We don't do it, yeah, it's just new cover. Same wonderful Constitution.
Can I get all of you to autograph that later sometime?
Yeah, after the meeting, sure, you bet.
And I'm going to be showing that to Carolyn Douglas later this afternoon.
Okay.
And if you do autograph it, I promise to buy, I'll try to buy each one of you her latest book.
No, I don't, no, we don't want anything bought for us.
Okay, well,
You might have a problem with that.
since the library did a nice presentation, I'll donate a book to the library.
Oh, okay, there you go.
How's that sound?
That sounds wonderful. Well, we'll pass it around, we'll see.
Okay, thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Joe. Anybody else from the public that wishes? Good morning. Great, if you just state your name, please.
Michael Stratton, member of the Town Council.
Great.
We'll be very brief. I just want to offer my support and encourage the council to go for this arrangement. I think, I had initial concerns over, the type of manufacturing that's happening, and also, any impact to taxpayers, but I think those concerns have been alleviated. And I also, not speaking on behalf of any governmental body, our taxpayers locally necessarily, I think there's a sense in the community and communities across New Hampshire and the nation that there's a lot of international instability and a genuine concern that we are able to meet readiness requirements. I personally had a grandfather in Pearl Harbor, and so this is a personal experience to me as well. And I think it's really important that we're ready for a readiness conference. So I encourage the council to work this next.
Great, well, thank you very much, appreciate that. Anyone else from the public wish to speak on this matter? Okay, seeing none, we'll officially close the public hearing portion of this item.
I'll then just give a moment to the council, see if there's any other questions from the executive council. Okay, hearing none, I will now ask for a roll call vote from the Secretary of State.
Council Kenny?
Yes.
Council Wilmington?
Yes.
Council Stevens?
Yes.
Council Gabbard?
Yes.
Council Wheeler?
No.
And with that, the item is approved. Very nice. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Councilman. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on, we have our items from the Department of Health and Human Services. I'll begin by asking for a motion to adopt agenda items 7 through 11 from the Department of Health and Human Services from the Office of the Commissioner.
Second.
Any discussion on any of these items? No? Okay, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Items 7 through 11 are approved. I'll now ask for motion to adopt agenda item 12 from the Department of Health and Human Services from the Division of Finance and Procurement.
So moved.
Motion is second. Any discussion on this item 12? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, item 12 is approved. Could I get a motion to adopt agenda items 13 through 17 from the Department of Health and Human Services from the Division for Behavioral Health?
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Warrington. Commissioner is here. Good morning, Commissioner.
Commissioner, I have a question about item number 15. And this is reimbursement funds from the opioid abatement advisory commission. I noted that most of these funds are going to the counties for treatment and Narcan, that sort of thing. There is a distribution to the Seabrook Police Department. That seems to be more focused around law enforcement. I just wondered, is this, these opioid abatement funds intended to be used for both law enforcement purposes and for the treatment and MAT side of this equation? Is that every police department in the state, it seems based on reading this, that every police department in the state would be eligible for reimbursement expenditures? So I'm just kind of curious about that.
Good morning. For the record, I'm Krista Potts. I'm the Director of the Division for Behavioral Health with the Department. The solicitation was dictated by the Commission, which voted to put out the RFA, or the procurement for this particular purpose, which it was stated for services provided to incarcerated individuals, knowing that county jails were hard hit with the cost of the medications that are associated in the treatment associated with opioid use disorder. Medication-assisted treatment, that again, that's part of the whole package in responding to the opioid epidemic, as well as other treatment services. So it was open to municipalities and to counties to submit an application. We did receive 7 applications before you. You have 7 contracts to approve. And the idea was for reimbursement for those specific purposes. And so these applicants submitted and were awarded based on that criteria.
The nature of the distributions made to Seabrook, were they different than the others?
I would have to go back and look at their specific application, but they met the criteria as did the counties.
How much do we have left in the opioid abatement fund?
So I would need to defer to the Attorney General's office, and Deputy Buffetti is the one who traditionally reports out to the Commission.
Okay, I can see them separately.
Yeah.
On that item.
Further discussion on any of these? Councilor Kenny?
Thank you, Governor. Item 14. So this is a contract that's kind of a retroactive contract with Leeds Medical Center in Lancaster. And so it's to provide substance use disorder treatment and recovery support services. It subsequently was with the Andrews Valley Hospital. I don't know the history, but I'm wondering This contract is to serve the Berlin area, so you have a hospital that is in Berlin, that's not servicing Berlin, but you have a hospital that's 20 plus miles away that's servicing Berlin. So what was the rationale behind that?
Great. That's a history of the doorway program. So ABH was contracted initially to stand up the doorway as the other 8 hospitals that appear in your item that I think before you today. And they set forward what they found in implementation is that they already have a relationship with WEEPS and were able to share clinicians and share staff. So therefore, over time, they ended up really staffing the ABH doorway. The contract before you goes straight from us to WEEPS and cuts out ABH only because it was all agreed upon by the parties, and that the location will remain in Berlin for right now. That's the plan, is to keep that location more centrally located at ABH. So it's really about sharing that staff.
Thank you.
Yes. On item 17, this is the contract for the doorways. We're some criticism that that program is working well in some communities and not as well in others. In particular, I understand there's been concerns about Manchester. Are you looking to make any changes to the program to increase its effectiveness?
Thank you for that question. We are actually undergoing an audit process right now, and they were in Manchester yesterday. And with any program, it's incumbent upon us to do continuous improvement, and we are doing that, and we have our team that goes on site to all the doorway locations. We also have an evaluation process that's been going on. So yes, today it may be that we've heard about issues in Manchester, but it could be another doorway. If one particular incident happens, then that rises above when in fact the system overall is serving close to 1,000 people.
My particular concern about Manchester is the very low utilization there. Is there anything that is going to be done to increase the utilization of that particular program?
So as you may know, we have the Strongest Planet campaign, and we anticipate that that will have an increased number across the state of the doorway system. Specifically to Manchester, once the audit findings are made, there will be any corrective action that will be issued, and if access is one of those, then that will be part of that plan that they'll need to submit to us. We find that the numbers are right now the 4 highest doorways from a utilization standpoint. When we look at the numbers, they include Nashua, Manchester, Dover, and Duluth.
Thank you. Can we get a copy of the evaluation when it's completed?
Yes, I believe so. Internal audit.
Sorry. I have an off-agenda item, but I think it belongs to this section, and that is related to the Philbrick. Is that this section?
Sure.
Okay. My understanding is that you are going to change the way you're handling the PATH program out at Philbrick, and that while it was previously staffed with 32 state employees, it will now be a service that you're going to contract out. Can you just explain your thinking on why you're going to make that change?
Sure.
We'll finish this.
Yeah. So I think, when we look at when PATH was created back during the pandemic, we had some folks in the hospital we knew that didn't get level care and could step down to a level of care that was less restrictive, if you will, and we created that space of PATH. And that over time, we have seen that patient needs change. So we think that we have 16 beds there that are staff that came from Winter Hospital. We also have ENF unit, if you remember, we're in the middle of renovating a unit in Winter Hospital, ran about 35 beds back on launch. So part of our hope is to be able to pull back, absorb some of those staff back to the hospital so that we can staff that unit, which is going to be opening probably in the beginning of the year, as well as provide the right level of service for those folks. So we have a vendor that provides those services right now on campus and has staffing, has the ability to be efficient with staffing and staff that resource, and we'll be able to staff our resource as well. We will bid that service out. We're doing a contract with them, but we'll bid that through an RFP in about a year and a half. And hopefully, that service will move into the community so that there are people stepping down and needing that community.
And sometimes it seems that these contracted services actually increase the cost to the city of staffing. If you put out the RFP, you find that you could do it less expensively. Is that something that you might then, at that point, decide not to go forward with the contract?
I would just say financial is always an issue, but so is quality of care and what they need. So I think it's balancing between those two perspectives.
I was just going to add that the intent, we took over that building, so you remain, and I'm sure Commissioner Ellinghouse would be happy to share of that. But we took over that building, the Philbrook building. The intent is that that program will be relocated as part of the RFP process. So for us to say that we will continue to staff with state staff, we would really have to look at that from an analysis standpoint and cost benefit analysis. Because again, we took over that building. It's not the perfect building for a residential program.
And one of the advantages of this, what you're proposing, is that the vendor is already on campus, has staff that they'll be able to utilize. There'll be some efficiencies experienced there.
Right. They have 6 houses on campus right now.
Okay, thank you.
Council Wu?
Yeah, well, is item 157, consumer replacement for Philbrook, are we talking the same Philbrook?
We are talking the same Philbrook, different agencies.
So follow-up question would be, how imminent do we need to do that job? I mean, we read the sewer backups at times. Do we have another council meeting before we can approve this contract? Because again, we got one bid on this contract, and just...
So the sewer, that project has been a long-standing issue and needs to be fixed. And the fact that they got to this point is amazing. So we want to be able to keep running the services and fix it, but we're spending a lot of money band-aiding instead of fixing the issue.
Do we have 3 weeks? 3 more weeks?
I'd have to ask Commissioner Arnold how this is my item.
Well, again, I don't want to go too deep into the item, only because it's...
Yeah, you want to wait and
We
talk
can
about
wait
there,
till the end.
Yeah, can we do that?
If it's his ballpark.
I think it's an important question to be asked.
Okay.
Okay. Further discussion on items, I think, are we on 13 through 17? Further question on any of these items? Oh, Councilor Kenny.
I just wanted to thank the Commissioner for providing for the residential treatment facility for first responders with the college administrators, state police. That was invaluable data that really grew over the picture of what's going on. So thank you for taking the time to participate and saying that.
Okay. But seeing no further questions, all in favor of items 13 through 17, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So those items are approved. Ms. Drew is back with another, you've been captured again.
Another 4th grade group from Nottingham who want to know that to them looks like enough paperwork for 3 meetings.
A lot of homework.
Oh, she said 300 meetings.
So, Dr. Gattis, you have more friends that are joining us today.
Thank you, Governor. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. How's your day going? Good. I don't know, you're not as excited as the group that was here before. Yes, you have a question. Questions are good. Never mind. Never mind to the question, Governor.
I missed it.
No, it's a never mind.
Oh, never mind. I was trying to
So you enjoying your day, or you have another question there?
Yeah. How do you find a specific paper in all the piles?
I use a computer.
Oh! That's so simple.
You're right, and it saves paper. Yes.
But what if it gets lost in one of the folders on your computer?
No, it doesn't. Can't lose it. It's an agenda. You have a lot of questions coming here, Doug. Yes, go ahead.
What if you do lose it? What if you accidentally
You
delete
can't
it?
lose it because you can always get a paper copy.
What happens if someone steals their computer?
Okay.
Would you like to...
Well, I'm glad we're all enjoying the day.
Yes.
Who can tell me what the roof is made of here?
Go.
Oh, you want that already? All right, great. You have a great day.
You too.
That was towards the government.
Thanks for visiting.
Hey, guys.
Thanks for visiting.
Thank you. Sorry, outside we were in the meeting.
Thanks for visiting. What reading level are they at? We'll give you 2 years. Not quite here yet.
We only
Hey, yeah, pleasure. Good to see you guys. Thank you. Hi, how are you? Hey, hi. Good to see you.
Thanks for my picture, so they know who I am.
Okay. Moving on, I'm going to ask for a motion to adopt agenda items 18A, 18A from the Department of Health and Human Services from the Division of Medicaid Services.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. These are two pretty small items.
We're missing a counselor.
They drive me away.
Maybe it's best. We're about to talk about Medicaid. Let's pass a $6 billion contract before Ted Gatsas gets back, right? We'll take 2 seconds to show you the house. That might get to me.
We just signed up for pictures.
Why don't, I tell you what, why don't you guys, do we have any, my guess is we're going to have a discussion on potential. Are there any questions from the councilors here on items 18 or 18A?
I'm a little bit concerned about the mental health centers. I know that they still have the 50% maintenance of efforts, and that some of them are able to meet that. I mean, what is the overall outlook for our health system?
Thank you for the question, Andrew Whitman, State's Medicaid Director. The maintenance of effort has been a long-standing piece in the contract, and started at the beginning of the pandemic to become a real issue, and we were able to work into the contract some relief there. Just speaking yesterday to the head of the Behavioral Health Association, that they're doing better against that. At the time of the pandemic, it was like a $26 million issue. It's now, I think, much smaller, and somewhere in that vicinity of $3 million, at which they would have potential payback, if you will, of half that amount. In the re-procurement process, we're looking to change that whole concept, and hopefully with the new contract that will be out there, and there'll be more predictability for the mental health centers, which I think in the end, in terms of reserves and things like that, will give them more capability to be able to make commitments to staffing expenses and such, because they know that their revenue stream will be more certain.
It appears that this amendment is primarily to implement increases in AP2, and do we have another full reprocurement coming forward?
Yes. Yes, I'm hoping that we can bring it to you, at least put on the table in December.
Councilor Stevens?
Well, thank you for speaking with me last night. We had a myriad of conversations, but to start, you did a fabulous job with the wind down of continuous re-enrollment and protecting those who were most vulnerable. In our present contract, early and periodic screenings are required for members less than 21 years of age, that they receive all preventative health screenings recommended by the American Academy of Pediatrics. Lab testing, including blood lead screenings, are required. All children enrolled in Medicaid, regardless of whether coverage is funded under 19 or 21, are required to receive blood lead screenings. On top of that, we are a universal testing state, and as you and I discussed, the levels of testing are disturbing. 39% of our 2-year-olds are being tested. And can you explain, as we go through pre-procurement, what we're going to ask of our MCOs to get to appropriate levels, whether it's at 55 or 75% respectively, and whether we're going to adhere to the CDC levels of 3.5 or 5. But it's a serious problem, and we know we had a 25% drop in lead testing. And what's the response?
So thank you for the question, and I appreciate your lifting it up. It is a priority area that we built into the ERP process, where just to give people a little background here, what we're talking about is the state of New Hampshire under RSA 130A has a standard that's higher than what is in the HEDIS measures that are typically used by managed care organizations. We look for someone to be tested once before they turn to be tested twice. The national standard is just once. And in the latest data that you're looking at, the issue is, I think, nationally there were problems with some of the testing labs and the materials to do testing. So our rate did go down, but it is a serious issue in terms of long-term impacts on people. And so we're building in, we're working with our Department of Public Health in terms of very collaboratively in terms of strengthening the program and also creating, if you will, fines, if you will, if they don't achieve certain levels of performance there. In New Hampshire, we also have some challenges in terms of the different sources of testing. There's a requirement to report to public health, and we also have parental choice whether they have the testing. So those factors all built in. But when we look at just our national numbers, we're fairly close to the New England and national averages when you look at a HEDIS measure, but that's not good enough based on our statute.
Thank you very much. The bottom line is 39% for 2-year-olds is much too low.
Yes, we agree.
Further discussion from the council on 1803A. Councilor Gansas.
On 18, seems to be over a 20% increase.
Actually, Council gets us, if you look at year by year increase, going from 23 to 24, 24 to 25, 20, so on and so forth. The increase per year is 3%. If you look at the financial table, we're going to be paying less in 2027 than we did in 2013 for the entire contract. But I think in terms of the bigger issue here is in terms of a modular reprocurement that we need to go through, that this particular, if you will, application is working pretty well as we currently run the pharmacy program compared to some other programs, and that the other factor that we're looking at is trying to, as we're seeing some new developments in other states in terms of a single PBM serving the entire program, fee-for-service and all, which you had looked at
We
earlier.
talked about that a
Yes.
few months ago.
Yes.
I asked you if we could do it.
Yes, and I think it's something that we're in the process of preparing an evaluation of, and that, some of the early indicators, like the state of Kentucky, which is a larger state than ours, in a 2-year period said they've saved $278 million under that structure. We've made contact with Kentucky, met personally with the person who set up the program, a national meeting, and so, I think it's something that we're going to work on, and I think this positions us to develop a request for proposal that addresses that potential avenue.
And what is the potential of our savings?
Well, if you just apply, they're about 10 times our size, so I'd say, if we were to achieve similar things, it would be, somewhere close to 30 million potentially.
I guess we should have tried it sooner.
The concern is whether it's a one-time or two-time savings, and whether that savings will continue. But I think, we're very interested in it, and we appreciate that you lifted it up as well.
Thank you.
Councilor Stevens?
18, so in regards to build-out at NMIS, the system integrator provider has to come first, followed by the enterprise data warehouse module, correct?
That's all part of that first phase. So what we, from our work with A&M and looking at other states, sort of lifting up modularity, that if you don't do that piece first, you have a lot of rework along the way.
So then we can proceed with the pharmacy benefit. And right now, the contract extension is about 8% increase.
Each year.
Thank you.
Further discussion on 18 or 18A? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of 18 and 18A, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. Thank you. Thank you. I'm now going to ask for a motion. To adopt items 19 through 21 from the Department of Health and Human Services from the Division of Long-Term Support Services. Sorry.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. Could I get a motion to adopt agenda items 22, 23, and 23A, the Department of Health and Human Services from the Division of Children, Youth, and Families?
So moved.
For a second. Any questions on any of these three items? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. I'll now ask for a motion to adopt agenda items 24 through 28 from the Department of Health and Human Services from the Division of Public Health Services.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Number 25.
The items are approved. I'll ask for a motion to adopt agenda items 29 through 31 from the Department of Health and Human Services from the Office of Health Equity.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Kenny.
Thank you, Governor. Commissioner, this is some contracts that are dealing with financial settlement. My question is, some folks ask me from time to time, where is this population going in New Hampshire? Do you have some more of a breakdown of where they're going?
Sure. Mr. Rubin, Hanson, I'm our Director of Office of Health Equity.
Good afternoon, Ruben Hampton, Director of Office of Health Equity. So we do keep track, though, so the majority go to Manchester and Nashua. We can send you numbers if you would like, though we do suppress numbers if they are below a certain amount for certain cities for safety reasons.
So I'm in District 1. I don't represent Nashville or Manchester. A lot of folks drive up north, those who ask me from time to time. So if there's resettlement going on in those parts of the state, I appreciate those numbers. Great, thank you.
Any further, Councilor Gatsas?
Yes, thank you, Governor. Is there a reason why refugees aren't sent to all the communities that are resettlement communities?
So they are set where there is available housing and where they are welcome. So Typically, they are centered where you think of the 7 communities, such as Manchester and Nashua, often where there is available housing, where we do have services for them, where the resettlement agencies are located. There are some in Concord and in other places, but those numbers are lower. You also have some of the folks for the United for Ukraine program who we do not have data on. We only have the zip code information, and they are dispersed throughout the state.
How much is given to each resettlement family?
Specifically for Ukrainian community?
When you say given, so they, depending on who it is, they could be eligible for Medicaid, other services, receive cash benefits. So there's no single amount that is given to a family or individual. It can vary based on their level of need, income level, other conditions, and not just one number.
Is there anything matched by the federal government?
So these are 100% federal funds.
Is there, so there's no allocation of funds per family?
There's funds set aside for populations. For example, one of these requests, I believe 30 is for refugee medical and cash. Refugee medical is if someone's over income and Medicaid for the first 12 months, this would cover them. Refugee cash is if you're not eligible for TANF, you could receive a cash equivalent. Again, depends and also has requirements associated with it. But that would be based on eligibility, and other benefits are based on eligibility and need as well.
I would think that there would be some way that some of these folks could get to other communities that are resettlement communities and level out the population rather than it all going to Nashua and Manchester. Because I know there's not a whole heck of a lot of housing in the city of Manchester that's available.
Yes. We only have folks resettled where there is available, so that they are not all in those locations. The higher numbers are in those locations, and the ones that if we were to publicize would be there because for safety reasons we suppress the lower numbers because they can be located in other communities, and that is where there is available housing stock such that there is available housing.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, well, thank you. Now, all in favor of items 29, 30, and 31, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. Thank you. I'm now going to ask for motion to adopt agenda items 32 and 33 from the Department of Health and Human Services from Glencliff Home.
Second.
Any discussion on 32 or 33? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. Could I get a motion to adopt agenda items 34 and 35 from the Department of Health and Human Services from New Hampshire Hospital?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the Department of Transportation. Could I get a motion to adopt agenda items 36 through 64B from the Department of Transportation? Although please note that item 56 is not used. I'll give everyone a moment. There's a lot of items there. So, motion and a second, and we'll keep it open for any discussion for a moment. Councilor Gadsden.
Good morning, Governor and Council. It's Bill Cash, for the Commissioner of Transportation.
Thank you, Commissioner. 4A, you have an item?
I believe on some of the contemplated awards, there are payments within that. Those are for payments for right of way. Item 64. There are.
What about 44?
Got to be prepared for 4A.
Item 44 with the appraisal.
43.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so the right of awards too, yeah, right. So those are right-of-way payments as the continue to pay property rights to move ahead with the next construction contract next spring.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Other discussions? Okay. Hearing no further discussion. All in favor of these items from DOT, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? These items are approved. I'm now going to ask for a motion to adopt agenda item 65 from the Office of the Governor.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 65 is approved. Could I get a motion to adopt agenda item 66 from the Housing Appeals Board?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 66 is approved. Could I get a motion to adopt agenda items 67 through 70 from the Office of Professional Licensure and Certification?
Second.
Any discussion for OPLC? Councilor Warrington. What do we have? Okay. Hi. Good morning. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good.
Bethany Castell, Division Director at OPLC.
I am looking at items 69 and 70, and these are renewal of contractors for nurse concession services to do investigations. And under the explanation, it says that you're looking to ensure the quality of care issues that may constitute violations of RSA 317-A, which is dentistry. So are these contracts limited to dentistry investigations, or are they broader than that?
I believe that was mistyped because these are for the nursing, the Board of Nursing.
Oh,
These are
just for the Board of
specific to the Board of Nursing.
Okay. Not just for the board of nursing, you would be using these cases for other investigations in other boards?
No, they would be specific to the Board of Nursing.
All right. You're 2060 then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions on this item? Okay, all in favor of items 67 through 70, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. Could I get a motion to adopt agenda item 71 from the Department of Agriculture, Markets and Food?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions on item 71? Okay, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 71 is approved. Could I get a motion to adopt item 72 from the New Hampshire Insurance Department?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on 72? Council Wilmington. Take it, commissioners here. Good morning.
Good morning, Councilors. Good morning, Governor.
Good morning, Commissioner. First on the appointment of Keith Nyan, I think that's really an excellent choice, and I'm very glad to see that the department has promoted from within on that position. I have some questions about Anthem.
Sure.
We don't get you here very often, so when I get you here, I'll take advantage of it. I continue to hear concerns from providers about the backlog of Anthem payments, and specifically, I've heard this time that there are a lot of problems with prior authorizations where they're using an outside company for prior authorizations. The providers call in, they're told they don't need a prior authorization, and then the procedure is denied payment because of prior authorization. And that is contributing to the backlog. Can you tell me, are you aware of the problem? What are we doing about it? And really, where are we on this whole Anthem backlog situation?
Sure. So a couple of things, Councilor. First, as you know, addressing these issues has been and will continue to be one of my top priorities. Before I address the prior auth issue, I'd like to just give you a little bit of an update as to where we are with the claims handling and payment of claims. So in the first instance, we are sitting down very seriously with our team, analyzing the tools that we have at our disposal to figure out how we can help begin to improve the situation in both the short, medium, and long term. I'm very pleased to say that we're fully staffed up our life and health unit. These are the folks that are going to be doing this work, so we have the manpower and the resources to start taking some serious action on some of these things. One of the other things that we've done, because you've got to obviously understand the specifics of the problem before you can start to figure out how you're going to begin addressing them. I actually thought you might bring this up, so I have a presentation here for you, which I will give to you, and I can certainly email it to all of the counselors. But there's a particular slide in here that I think is very helpful in a very simplistic way to help you understand, I think, the types of problems that we're going to be working through. Not just with this carrier, mind you, I think across the board. It's, the slide says why the claim is not adjudicated as expected. And you'll see there are a number of reasons. Things like the provider may have miscalculated the anticipated payment, health carrier may have adjudicated the claim improperly, denials based on system configuration errors, those types of things. And I think it speaks to what I talked about when I was here for my hearing back in September, that there is a glitch somewhere in these systems, such that if you're looking at the issue through a very narrow definition of prompt payment, you will see that everybody's doing incredibly well. New Hampshire's carriers are paying claims speedily over the national average. We're in the mid to upper 90s, but we know that there's a problem there. So what we've done is to diagnose exactly what that problem is, and I've got more kind of detail and understanding at this point about what those glitches are. Because it's not that the payment isn't going out. The problem is that the payment that the provider is getting is not what they were entitled to had the claim been processed correctly. So we're getting our arms around the specifics of those problems so we can better understand how to address them. As it pertains to prior auth, we have started to work through some issues coming through our consumer division as it pertains to that. We're having conversations with the legislature, who obviously are hearing from their constituents about problems with that. We are on it. We're not going to allow it to become a significant problem the way some of these other things have become a significant problem. But I'll have to get back to you as to kind of where we are in our game plan to address that.
We have heard that $300 million was due in backlog to the New Hampshire hospitals. What's your estimate of that number now?
So I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle. I think that the hospitals are probably owed some money. As I said, I think it emanates from the fact that they're not getting the entitled amount of the claims. But you have to, I think, dig a little bit more into the numbers to understand where the money flows into that total $300 million number are coming from. I've argued that I think denied claims, for example, should be looked at differently because there's a process by which denied claims can be appealed. So I don't, and that process kind of has to play itself out. So I think that those dollars have to be backed out of that total amount. You've got to make sure that all of the claims that are included in that number are what we call clean claims, which is to say that a carrier has all of the information and paperwork that it needs for the system to process the claim. Things like EOBs and other information like that. So I don't think it's $300 million, but I certainly would accept the premise that the hospitals are owed money. My plan is in the next 2 weeks to have a meeting with all of the hospital CEOs plus whoever they'd like to bring to the table, whether that be their CFO or their billing expert, and hear directly from them what they're experiencing, what the problems are from their perspective, and what progress is being made. I want to hear directly from them. I get a story from the Hospital Association, and that's fine. I get a story from Anthem, and that's fine. They're two wildly different stories. And so I want to hear directly from the providers themselves as to what they're experiencing. And as I said, what's most important to me is progress being made to fix the problems that they're experiencing in the system.
I mean, I would just caution you, when you're talking about backing out of, denied claims out of that pool that is backlogged, and when you're considering it, that if they're improperly denied, they belong there. And that's what we're seeing, or that's what the hospitals are seeing with prior authorizations. I also want to put on your radar screen a problem with credentialing with Anthem, with very lengthy times to credential, which makes it really burdensome on the providers to do proper billing. So I'd like you to continue to keep us up to date on this, but make it a priority. This is hundreds of millions of dollars. It's been going on for years now, and it really needs a resolution.
I couldn't agree with you more, Counselor. We are making that a top priority.
I'll take your presentation.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, if you can send that to the council.
I certainly will. Thank you.
Council Gatsas.
Wait, you went that way, so we see.
No,
Councilor Gatsas has to-
Oh, excuse me, sorry.
Thank you, Governor. I understand what you were saying, but the problem is that when a constituent has a claim denied, that can put him in a very tough financial position. So I'm not worried about the big hospitals, even though they are important. I'm concerned about the little guy that doesn't have the money and is being chased for those dollars. And if you're telling me that they're stuck in the middle of that swamp, then we got to throw them a lifeline and get them out. And it's got to be done quickly. It can't be, and I would hope that, you'll be back at the next meeting in 3 weeks and be able to tell us what that $300 million is today and how much it affects the little guy. Because the little guy, he's the one that's hurting. Because I heard from a constituent just last week that they're chasing him so hard that he's going to have to file bankruptcy.
Absolutely concerning, Counselor. And one of the things that I would share with anybody who has a constituent in that circumstance is to please call us. We can make things move quickly if we're aware of them. But I agree with you. The consumer is obviously somebody that I worry very much about. I worry about the smaller providers as well. And that's not to say that I don't put as much of a priority on the hospitals. I do. But I also know that from a financial perspective, the hospitals have, in many cases, some financial cushion to allow the process to be resolved. The smaller providers, on the other hand, do not. And so that is why this has been such a priority for me. I'm limited in what I can tell you in terms of the formal action that the department is considering, but I absolutely can make you the commitment that this is something we're going to move forward on, and we're going to move forward on as Councilor Rory at this point. I don't want to be talking about this in a year's time. I'm tired of this dispute. I want it to be fixed.
Further discussion, Councilor Stevens.
Touching on credentialing, Commissioner Betancourt, during the pandemic, I had providers, marriage family therapists, who were wrapping up for telehealth operations. They had providers ready to go. Credentialing was being delayed, and it was a matter of perhaps switching a practice within the state that never should have happened, the investment that these providers made, and that problem continues. You and I have discussed this, and often you've been able to resolve the problem, but it should not take months for a provider who is licensed in New Hampshire to switch practices. And it's for the mental health crisis, all hands on deck.
I couldn't agree more, Counselor, and I will tell you that I feel a particular responsibility to ensure that that process is moving as it should, as quickly as it should, because I don't want an insurance-related matter to be the reason why the work that the governor, all of you, and the legislature have done to get more providers out there serving the public. I don't want us to be the hang-up in that. I want us to ensure that we're doing our part to get more providers into New Hampshire to provide the critical services that our citizens need.
I'm hearing complaints also from behavioral health care providers on arduous, difficult, repetitive audits. And perhaps it's a conversation we could have outside of this meeting, but it's depleting providers.
Audits initiated by the carrier?
Exactly, yes.
All right, let me look into that a little bit more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further discussion on item 72? Okay, hearing no further discussion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 72 is approved. I'll now ask for motion to adopt agenda items 73 and 74 from the Department of Correction.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Kenny, Commissioner Stewart.
Good day, Helen Hanks, Commissioner of the Department of Corrections for the record.
How are you doing today, Commissioner?
I'm doing all right, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So this has to do with item 73, which is the RFID systems program. So there's a bunch of questions that, when you talk about RFID chips and monitoring, I don't think this contract really spells out clearly. I understand the purpose of the contract, trying to make the correction system more efficient. But this RFID chip, is it an ankle bracelet? Is it in someone's skin? What exactly is going on with this system?
Certainly. In the numerous pages before you, there's a section that tries to simplify. No, we're not implementing RFID chips. In corrections in general, no matter here in New Hampshire or in other states, we track individuals through either ID cards. There are correctional grade bracelets, and yes, some might use anklets, but more commonly we see ID cards or very thin bracelets. In our system, we use ID cards, and we would put an RFID tag on that ID card. But we're also focused on putting hard correctional grade RFID tags outside of cell spaces. So we would use the tag and the ID cards to do our rounds to reduce the voluminous paper that we produce literally every day and doing more from count and moving it from place to place.
It's my understanding, is this a pilot program, this particular contract?
This is not a pilot program. It is a funded efficiency program under ARPA. This type of technology is in other locations across the country from the perspective of a pilot. It has been tried and true and tested in a correctional environment. It's going to feel like a pilot for us, yes, because we're going to embark and roll it out from one facility to the next, but it will be at all locations. Thank you for that.
Further discussion for correction? Councilor Gettis.
Thank you, Governor. How deep a cleaning is that $42,000 for?
That is, thank you for that question. Having gone and audited after they came through, it's for the whole entire kitchen at the New Hampshire State Prison for Men, including the storage areas, and they did an absolutely phenomenal job. We're going to have them come back in January. They went through, again, not just the cooking area, but all of the storage spaces, and as you can imagine, in that whole facility, it needed it.
In January to do another deep cleaning?
Yes, while we're putting out the bid, as I wrote in the letter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further discussion, Councilor Kenny.
You mentioned cleaning, something that's struck. So I get a call from a father from the Newmarket. Son's incarcerated in Men's State Prison, and he said that the rodent infestation is out of control. What is the approach to try to beat back the rodents in this prison?
Great question. I have a multi-page document I'll send out to the council. History of that, we have never had a rodent problem until COVID. All the restaurants shut down, and we became the only source of food, so they migrated to the prison. I can tell you, lucky me. It's just not fighting COVID, I started fighting the rodents. So we did all of the things you would normally expect. We hired pest control. We hired the people that know how to do this. I don't think too much about rodents. We hired rat terriers that actually hunt down the home and kill them. That may be graphic, sorry to everyone. And also we were the first to deploy a neutering agent that is in the poison that they eat, and then it neuters both the male and female rat. I can tell you today, we're in a much better place than we were, and made significant strides, and I know that because I don't see any little baby rats anymore, and we're going to win.
The road's true, that's okay. So with that in mind, I know the women's prison, at least what I heard, had some problems initially, but that was kind of resolved totally.
Yeah, I didn't actually hear of any major problems at
Right.
Rhodes. It was really all at men's prison.
It's a men's prison, right? We're looking at one, building a men's prison down the road.
I would hope I would have lots of support to replace the New Hampshire State Prison for Men. I cannot plug all the holes in the dam.
Well, road infestation might be an excuse to get it.
That's definitely on my list. Thanks, sir.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion for corrections? Okay, hearing none. Thank you for the graphic.
School children are.
All in favor of items 73 and 74, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. I'll now ask for motion to adopt agenda items 75 and 77 from the Department of Energy. Any discussion? No questions? Sean? All in favor of items, Council Gaddis.
Just checking to see how we're doing with our lighting.
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 What's that?
Because it's getting colder.
Yes, good morning, Councilors, Governor George, Point Department of Energy. We are, the program opens December 1st. Of course, folks are going to apply all fall. I think we're on track to, at this point, to probably be at about the same place we were last year in terms of numbers. It's close to 30,000 households participating in the program. We have adequate funding between carryover and the funds that were appropriated in the continuing resolution of Congress. So the program's up and running, and we actually have a new fuel assistance director at our office that just started last week. So lots of good developments, and feel good about this winter.
What are the dollars that are available?
So so for this program year, the funding that we received in the CR, I want to say was 17% of the award that we'll receive, but we have adequate carryover from last year that we could probably go most of this winter season and pay benefits
I'm
without
not looking
problem.
for percentages, I'm looking for dollar amounts.
But almost, we expect to receive around the same grant that we did last winter, so in the 25 to just shy of 30 million, 25 to 30 million in that range.
And you think that's going to be enough to carry you through this winter?
Yes, Councilor, it will be, especially with carryover.
Yes, sir.
Has anybody given you a number on what the increase in degree days is going to be for the same period this year as it was last?
I don't have that information, but I can definitely find out for you. No one's provided for it, so
It's supposed to be a colder winter, so,
yes.
and I think a lot more people are in need, and when they find out that the program's available, I think your numbers are going to, how many people did you serve last year?
Around 30,000 households. I looked at Josh because he always has the exact number, but it's around there.
I'm sure that you're going to find an increase, and we'll be back talking about this in December.
Absolutely. It's, again, based on the funding we have carried over from last winter and what we expect to receive from the federal government this winter, we feel confident that we have that.
We have a cushion.
We have a cushion, but we
How much is
absolutely
it
have a
carry
cushion.
over?
It's about 25 million. Yeah, it's around 25 million.
Carry over?
Yes, Council.
So
We got a huge bump a couple of years ago, and we've kind of been carrying the bump.
We had a huge influx in funding through ARPA, which we spent that down because that was, that expired sooner than our regular program year dollars, which we have 2 years to spend the grant. So we spent those down, so we did have considerable carryover.
So that gives you 55 million for this in the pool?
Roughly, yes.
So all the eligibility and the formula, it's all
Yes.
by formula, we can't just arbitrarily raise the numbers, but, we have cushion for additional folks that may want to come up. And you'll be advertising it?
Absolutely, we always do.
Good. Okay, thank you guys.
Some questions?
All in favor of items 75 through 77, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. Could I get a motion to adopt agenda items 78 through 81 from the Fish and Game Department? Is there any discussion for the Fish and Game Department? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of those items, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Those items are approved. I'll now ask for motion for adopting agenda items 82 through 91 from the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. Any discussion? Councilor Kenny.
Thank you. Good morning, Sarah Stewart, Commissioner, Department of Natural and Cultural Resources.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you for that breakfast meeting this morning. This is crossing my mind, a lot of things crossing my mind, but the new operational agreement with the, Connecticut
Lake headwaters.
The 146,000 acres, Blue Sources sent something to us as far as their side of the operational agreement. Where does it stand, and are we going to be moving forward quickly? Does that come before Governor Council or not?
So many questions. They are in the process of sending over their revised annual operating plan and forest management plan. That will go to our state forester, Patrick Hackley. Patrick Hackley has been briefing our folks at DOJ, and once we have their final documentation, we will work with DOJ to sift through that and just make sure that it's in compliance with the easement. So that's where our agency is involved with this piece of property, with the easement. And so, will we be moving quickly? Yes. We're waiting and ready to pour over that paperwork and, if necessary, sit down with Blue Source and discuss what they've changed.
And so, does that come before the Governor Council for any review?
I don't know the answer to that at this point. You mean, I really don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I'll find out.
I'd be curious to know. I know the legislature has got many bills in to deal with, carbon credits and carbon offsets, and so it's going to be a hot topic this spring, so I'd be curious to know if those agreements are finalized and maybe I can help.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion for the Commissioner? Okay, well, hearing none, all in favor of items 82 through 91, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. Thank you again, Commissioner and Michael and the whole staff. Great morning. Could I have a motion to adopt agenda items 92 through 122A from the Department of Environmental Services? Any discussion for DES? Give everyone more. I know there's a lot of items there. They're definitely not running out. Okay, all in favor of items 92 to 122A, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? With that, those items are approved. I'll now ask for a motion to adopt agenda items 123 through 132 from the Department of Education.
So moved.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Those items are approved. I'm going to ask for a motion to adopt agenda items 133 through 132 from the Department of Safety.
So moved.
Any discussion? Councilor Kenny has a question. Item 142.
Good morning, Steve Wood, Assistant Commissioner, Department of Safety. Very well, are you?
So this is the Homeland Security grant that are going to nonprofits for readiness and preparation for potential attacks, both cyber and terrorist attacks. My question is, I was looking at the folks that got these awards, and we had, I think, earlier this year, sent out infrastructure security plans for our school system. and this looks like it's capturing some of the nonprofits. My question was with Dartmouth College, and let me say university. They're kind of, one's a public institution, the other one's a private institution, and they're for non-profit, but they're not non-profits. So how are they eligible for this program?
So they're quasi nonprofit entities that are eligible for the grants under the program. All of the nonprofits that applications that were received were scored locally here in the state based on the criteria the federal program provides us, and then all those applications are sent over to FEMA for final, to Homeland Security for final score. And so the resulting scores are after both the state and the federal process. So they were deemed to be eligible for this particular grant program.
Okay, I guess that's what I need to start, they were being eligible. Because there is a difference in terminology between a nonprofit, 501c3, and a public institution, and not-for-profit, both public and private, so just so they're kind of eligible. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Further discussion for safety? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Department of Safety's items are approved. Could I have a motion to adopt agenda item 143 through 149 from the Department of Justice?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions for the Attorney General's office? You got some? You okay?
No.
Okay, great. Okay, hearing none, all in favor of those items, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. Can I get a motion to adopt agenda items 150 through 157 from the Department of Administrative Services?
Second.
Any discussion? The DAS. Councilor Wheeler.
On 157,
I'm going to have Ted join me as well, if you don't mind.
That'd be wonderful.
I'm Charlie Arlinghouse. I'm the Commissioner of the Department of Administrative Services and Leadership 2.5. And this is Ted Copper, who's the Director of Public Works.
the great tie.
Thank you. Not bad one.
Not bad, actually.
So, the Commissioner and I had some discussions on the phone about this item. My concerns are that another item, we only got one bid, right? And so we've had some discussions about how can we do bidding better, perhaps. And I think the Commissioner might have some ideas on that. But I'm also concerned that the item is very vague. It doesn't tell me how many feet of sewer pipe we're laying. It doesn't tell me the urgency to get it done, other than they do have, problems with the sewer pipe. So I haven't had enough information and time to check this cost out, because this is the same contractor that bid double what we got those roofs done for at Lancaster.
Oh, is that right?
Yes. And so I would like some time to do this, unless it's an emergency, then I guess I would understand. They said it's only 20% over the department's estimate, which isn't double like the other one. So I'd like some feedback on the timing and what we can do to try to stop, get more than one bid on this.
So there's a lot to unpack in that. Let me take a stab at some pieces of it. So a couple things. Yeah, so typically on a public works contract, this is what you would see, and you don't actually see the whole design document, because of course there's like this thing like that. And this is probably a problem. I sent the counselor a copy of the estimate summary, which lists a bunch of things, what kind of pipe and all of that, and how we tend to do an estimate, which we include with the bid when we put it out, which is why we say 18% of our estimate. So that's to look at. Is it a problem to delay a meeting? It's not a problem to delay a meeting. It's a general principle. We believe that all of our items can be, not should be, can be tabled, and so we try to build that in. It is an issue. The sewage at the Philbrook building has been an enormous problem for quite some time. And Ted actually, this is an area of his particular expertise, sewage. And civil engineering, right? I should say that. I can explain why that is, but it's been a problem since before the COVIDian era transfer from OPLC, American Legion, GCD, et cetera, to indigenous. So that's there. I want to mention a couple things about the bidding process. So this company has bid recently for us, leaving aside the DNCR project, which I don't know much about except what I heard sitting there during my own business. I think it's 6 projects for us in the last 6 to 9 months, maybe. Either gone to council or going to come to council. They've been up 3 times and down 3 times compared to estimate. So
We're only batting 50%.
well, I mean, frankly, that's better than we're doing. Generally, in terms of our bids have been overestimate probably twice as much as they've been underestimate. In the last calendar 22 and calendar 23, we've brought something like 46 public works contracts to council, and I believe 13 of them have been single bid contracts. We had, in an unusual situation, 2 weeks ago, I think it was, a no bid. At the bid opening, it went really fast because there were no envelopes open. Obviously, we're rebidding that and redesigning it. So it's an issue. It's something we've been looking at for a long time. We do better when we have multiple bids. We do worse when we have a single bid. But sometimes, the counselor asks me, why we're still doing one bid. And I, in a really smart alecky way, said, well, we put it out to bid and only one person replied. But that is sort of how it works. What can we do to enhance the number of bidders? I don't know, but we're experimenting with a couple of things. So one of the things that happens is that public works contracts are bid currently through a process that's governed by the DOT Contracts Office, dating back to the pre-2005 era when those 2 entities were part of the same department. It requires pre-qualification, and you can understand why that pre-qual process, which limits the number of bidders, is significant and important, probably in transportation projects. You're doing a $10 or $20 million paving or whatever. It's a big deal. For a $300,000 roof, it might be unnecessarily limited. We've experimenting with about 5 projects right now, one of which has gone to bid, which we're doing through our division of procurement, where we bid a lot of other things, from soup to nuts, literally. And you see contracts every day on those. The first thing we did was the cladding on the outside of the DMV building. That was the one about we got 3 bids. I'm not saying we wouldn't have if we went through the typical public works process. I don't know. It happened to be underestimate. One bid is not a theory to make, but we're trying that. And so I really want the council to know, so we're trying that. So we're going to see if that works. I don't want anyone to get their hopes up too much. We're in a climate right now, if you try to have anybody do like front steps on your house, God help you can get anybody to come out. Contractors have a lot of work, and they can be picky and choosy, I think those are both words, on how they do that. We get fewer bids. Contractors are having a lot of trouble hiring subs. Subs are very, very difficult to hire. When we don't get bids, a lot of times we'll call the people we know. Dave will call the mechanical contractors and say, hey, why don't you bid? And about half the time it's, I can't get subs. And about half the time it's, I had plenty of work and I'm not interested right now. I'll come back. During a recession, we tend to get more bids because people have less work. When times are really good and there's ARPA money flowing at state, county, federal levels, we get fewer bids. And we have 150 active projects-ish, 152 maybe, at Public Works right now. And, that compares to 60 or 70 in the past. And it just gives you an idea.
A couple of questions. So we don't require data spacing with these particular bids?
The state requires data spacing with almost nothing.
And is this contract, is this a general contractor and they're gonna sub out everything else? Or is this a small enough job, it could be a job without a bid? You could manage your own job. Which type of person got this bid?
Yes.
They're going to have some subs, but they're going to do most of the work. There's a sewer ejector station that's part of this, and I imagine they'll have a sub that'll supply that. Counselor, to your question about the detailed bid estimate, I have a third-party bid estimate here that lists all the lengths of pipe and all the materials on the job that I'd be happy to give to you as well.
You give that to me today,
This is the thing I emailed. I emailed this to Councilor Wheeler yesterday.
All right.
I'm not emailing to everybody else. Yeah, that's key.
So I guess my last question is, can we delay this till the next meeting? Is that going to be a problem? So I have a chance to go out and discuss it with other contractors and see if this bid's in line?
Yes, you can delay.
Okay. I guess with that, I would move to table the item, page 157.
I think. Okay, so we have a motion to table 157. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
So we have a motion and a second to table item 157. All in favor of tabling item 157, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 157 is tabled. Councilor Gatsis.
Governor, thank you. Laconia,
It's a great city.
another 3 weeks, where are we at?
A couple things. One is that I want to make sure I follow up on earlier questions you had, which is, will we close before I remove the bandages from my fingers? And the answer to that is no. And they look almost normal. As close as I get. The final federal cure period expires on November the 10th, which I believe is Friday. I don't think that we have anything that we haven't. I believe that we've agreed in principle to everything, and the distinctions are minor related to things like fencing, and are sending this letter, and snowmobile trails. And I need them to confirm, and we're starting to work on closing documents. And so I think those will take. I don't imagine there are any issues that will arise in any of the closing documents, but lawyers being lawyers, there'll be a lot of back and forth.
And a closing date?
After we see a first draft and see how close we are, we can pick a date. When I did the last title extension, which was through the 10th, I said to our lawyer, who said to their lawyer, we need a date because at some point I'm going to get excoriated by the council, and so I need a date, and they need a date soon, and I need to have a date on the next meeting. And so that's what I told them, and so I would expect at the next meeting I will have a date.
Or in December?
I think we have a meeting on the 29th. A week after Thanksgiving.
Well, is it fair to say that we're closer to a closing date today than we were 3 weeks ago?
It's fair.
Well, there you go. We're making progress.
Yeah. That's fair.
I don't mean to be coy in any way. I don't have a date, so I'm not going to pretend I have a date. And
Are we in receipt of a non-refundable check?
we are in receipt of 2 checks. I don't want to describe them as non-refundable because there are conditions under which they can be refunded.
And how much?
Those are spelled out in the contract.
How much are those checks?
Oh, it's the same amount I told you when we were at Abbott, but I don't remember the number, because I think it's a couple.
You don't remember the
hundred
number,
grand.
but you expect me to remember?
I don't expect you to remember the number. But I remember having told it to you once, but I don't expect either one of us
This
to
big
remember.
farm match is making me dizzy. Sorry, Council Warrington.
So, my understanding is that one of the conditions in which they can get their deposit back is that there's a problem with the deed, and that there's been identified some sort of a snowmobile or something happened there. Has that issue been resolved? Has the deed been cleared?
So I think the answer to that is technically no, and that's why there's a so-called title cure extension through the 10th. And there are a bunch of little things like that, utility easements from 1925 and 1949, and each one of them has been cleared. At this point, I believe there are 4 remaining things that we agree in principle, and that they'll likely be spelled out in the closing contract. The only one that someone might refer to as a title restriction, title or deed issue, is the snowmobile trail. And there's been a lot of back and forth for a lot of months on that. BNCR has been particularly cooperative and diplomatic. And I believe that we are in final agreement. And I say I believe we are because we've essentially agreed, but nobody's written anything down.
So we have on our agenda today, item 154, which is to hire security services for this property, extending through May of next year. This contract goes through May of next year. If you are going to close on this property, I can assume that can we terminate this contract?
Absolutely, yeah.
Without any kind of...
Yes, the only reason the contract is for that long is once we cross a number where we have to go to council, we may as well in for penny and for pound, and not, I don't want to have to come back on like December 14th and go, well, we need 2 more weeks, and people are breaking into stuff.
You can cancel it without
We
penalty.
can cancel without penalty anytime.
I mean, we are incurring costs, so more costs.
Yes.
With the delay.
Councilor Kane?
So Council Warrington wrapped up my questions, but, so with regards to 154, have we provided security for that site in the past, or is this in response to the vandalism and hate graffiti that's been going on at the state property?
Yes and yes. We didn't really provide security in the past, in the sense that our securities who are on it, our security officers who are on at night, typically patrol Concord, and they go right up to Laconia. We had part-time maintenance staff up there for a long time, and so there was somebody regularly on the site. There were also other people on more of the site more often than there has been recently. What we hoped to do was ride it out for a long time and think, it's not going to go, but people, vandalism and some of the hate graffiti and all that, and there's a point at which that's not tolerable and we have to do something.
No, that's fair enough. And 911 is still there?
Yes.
Okay, and 911 has a plan to withdraw at one point?
That's part of, and there's no disagreement about that, that's part of the building, the Dwinell building, if you want to keep score. And then that's the guy.
Okay. And then my last thing is, do we as a council, we know we extended, the period, I guess I don't know what period you call the purchase and sale period from October to November, but November 10th, you mentioned as a deadline.
The PNS doesn't have a deadline in it.
Oh, it doesn't. Okay, so that November 10th date was your...
November 10th it's a period to cure title, is what it's called, and it's basically, we can't, I don't know what the right terms are, they're legal terms for this, but essentially we can't hold them in contempt as long as they're trying to cure these things. We can't say, what are you doing, and try to give them a hard time.
So we're offering them another extension to cure the title?
We're not.
So the 10th is it?
I think the 10th has to be it. I really...
Yep, I agree. Absolutely. Then how about the 9th? Seriously,
Okay.
just tell them they got to finish. They got to finish. We're there.
I'll report to them today. The governor said no.
There you go.
There will be no extension.
I understand Robbie's out of country, so hopefully when she's back.
The buying team is quite large, and I don't care about the geographic location of any individual. It's not an excuse.
Love that. Councilor Gatsby?
Thank you, Governor. There's no closing date scheduled, nothing in the PNS,
That's right.
so they can close in 2 weeks.
Hey,
Yes or no?
a technical legal answer would be there are a set of very unlikely circumstances under which a closing could theoretically, but not conceivably, happen in 2 years. But the right answer is no. But technically, yeah, I suppose.
Do they have financing
weird
in
things.
place? Do they have financing in place?
No, I'm not privy to the finances of the person who's going to buy the property.
I would assume-
Here's the thing, I know they can come up with the purchase price. What they do after that is their business, I don't care.
Okay. Further discussion? Okay. All in favor of items 150 through 156, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. That concludes our regular agenda. Thank you all for watching. Incredible show. Councilor Kenny?
I just want to wish everybody happy Veterans Day. Friday is 240th birthday of the United States Marine Corps. Just want to push out to the fellow Marines.
I think there'll be a little flag raising starting with that. And happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Okay, we'll see you in 1 or 2 weeks.